Welcome to your personalized deep dive. You shared some really fascinating sources on Adlerian psychology, and it's clear that you're particularly interested in separation of tasks and the courage to be happy, and how all these ideas can sort of help unlock more personal freedom.
Mm.
So, um, yeah, let's just jump right in.
Yeah, it is really intriguing how Adlerian psychology kind of flips the script on that traditional Freudian thinking. Instead
Hmm.
of sort of dwelling on the past, it's all about how our current goals and desires drive our behavior, like right now.
So instead of saying, I'm stuck because of this thing that happened to me like years ago, Adler would ask, what purpose does this behavior serve for me today?
Exactly. Yeah, it's called teleology. And the book uses this really powerful example of a man who's agoraphobic, right? Rather than assuming it's like solely due to some past trauma, Adlerians would explore what that behavior might be achieving for him, like in the present. Maybe it's a way to avoid those social situations where he fears judgment, or maybe it's a subconscious way to try and get attention from loved ones.
Yeah, that's a huge shift in perspective. But wouldn't that feel like we're kind of letting ourselves off the hook for bad behavior? Like, if everything is goal-oriented, can't we just justify anything?
I mean, it's a varied concern. I think teleology doesn't excuse harmful actions, but it does encourage us to look deeper. Let's say you're constantly procrastinating on a work project, right? Instead of just labeling yourself as lazy, ask, what purpose does this procrastination serve? Maybe it's masking a fear of failure, or maybe it's a way to avoid a task that you just find genuinely unfulfilling.
Hmm. It's like we're detectives of our own minds trying to uncover these hidden motives behind our actions. This kind of ties into the courage to be happy, right? If our behaviors serve a purpose, even unconsciously, it takes courage to change them, even if that change brings up those uncomfortable feelings.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is where the courage to be happy comes in. It's about acknowledging those fears and then choosing to act in ways that actually align with our desired future, even if it feels risky or uncomfortable. Think about the life tasks that Adler outlines: work, friendship, love. These aren't just random categories, they're fundamental challenges that require us to step outside of our comfort zones and engage with the world and with other people.
Yeah, and that can be terrifying. The book talks about neets and shut-ins, those people who withdraw from society. Could that be a way of avoiding those very life tasks because they're so fraught with potential for, failure?
Precisely. Yeah. We might fear rejection in love, struggle to find fulfilling work, or maybe feel inadequate in friendships. And it's easier to withdraw than to face those potential hurts. But here's the catch. Avoiding those life tasks ultimately limits our happiness and our personal growth.
This brings us to separation of tasks, which you specifically mentioned, wanting to understand better. It sounds almost like an emotional self-defense technique.
In a way, it is. Yeah, imagine your boss is having a bad day and unfairly lashes out at you. Separation of tasks reminds us that their emotional outburst is their task to manage, not yours. Your task is to focus on your work and maintain professional boundaries.
Okay, but wouldn't that make me seem uncaring? Like, shouldn't I at least try to smooth things over?
It's not about being callous. Separation of tasks is about recognizing your limits. You
Yeah.
can still be compassionate and supportive, but you're not responsible for fixing your boss's mood. In fact, trying to do so might even enable their unhealthy behavior.
Okay, that's a really helpful distinction. It's about choosing where to focus your energy and recognizing that you can't control other people's emotions. This reminds me of something else that the book explores, the idea that we actually choose our emotions to achieve specific goals.
Yeah, that's one of the most radical concepts in Adlerian psychology. We often think of emotions as these involuntary reactions, but Adler suggests that we use them as tools even if unconsciously. The book uses a great example. A mother arguing with her daughter suddenly switches to a very polite tone when the phone rings because it's the daughter's teacher.
Oh, it's like she's flipping a switch.
Yeah.
Anger was useful for the argument, but politeness serves a different purpose in talking to the teacher. It's a little unsettling to think we might be doing this all the time without even realizing it.
It is, and that's why self-awareness is so crucial. When we understand the motivations behind our emotional choices, we can start to make more conscious decisions about how we express ourselves rather than simply reacting automatically.
It makes you wonder, when is choosing our emotions healthy and authentic, and when does it become manipulative?
That's a great question, and it's one we'll definitely explore further. But for now, let's consider this. If we accept that emotions are tools, it means we have a choice in how we use them. We're not just victims of our feelings, we're active participants in shaping our emotional landscape.
That's both empowering and a bit daunting. It's like realizing you have more control over your emotional life than you thought. But also, wow, that's a lot of responsibility.
It is, but that responsibility is at the heart of personal freedom. And speaking of freedom, one of the most controversial aspects of Adlerian psychology is the idea that true freedom can actually come from being disliked.
Yeah, it definitely challenges our assumptions about what it means to be, successful. We're
Mm.
so conditioned to seek approval and validation from others. But Adler suggests that true freedom comes from kind of letting go of that need for constant recognition.
So it's not about being a jerk or intentionally pushing people away, right? It's about having the courage to be ourselves, even if it means some people won't like it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing that we can't please everyone, and trying to do so only keeps us trapped in these vertical relationships where we're constantly seeking approval or validation from others. This reminds me of that example in the book about the woman who was terrified of blushing. It wasn't the blushing itself that bothered her. It was the fear of what others would think. She was so focused on gaining approval from this man that she liked that she was willing to undergo all sorts of treatments just to stop blushing.
Yeah, and that highlights how seeking external validation can actually limit our freedom and happiness. It keeps us playing by someone else's rules instead of defining our own values and living according to them.
It's like we're handing over our power to others, letting their opinions kind of dictate our choices and behaviors. So how do we break free from that? How do we develop that courage to be disliked?
Well, it starts with understanding that other people's opinions are just that, opinions. They don't define our worth or our value. And it's about shifting our focus from vertical relationships to horizontal ones.
Okay, I remember this concept from the book, but it's one of those things that's easier said than done. How do we actually make that shift?
It's about seeing others as equals, fostering respect rather than judgment. It's about recognizing that everyone is on their own journey and that we all have our own strengths and weaknesses.
So instead of putting people on pedestals or comparing ourselves to them, we try to connect with them on a more human level, acknowledging their struggles and celebrating their successes as if they were our own.
Precisely. And this shift to horizontal relationships can be incredibly liberating. It frees us from the need to prove ourselves or to compete with others.
This reminds me of that example in the book about praising versus encouraging. It's a subtle but powerful distinction.
It is, yeah. Instead of evaluating someone's actions with statements like good job, encouragement focuses on expressing gratitude for their effort and acknowledging their progress.
So instead of saying to a child, you got an A on your test, you're so smart, we might say, I really appreciate how hard you studied for that test. You put in a lot of effort and it shows.
Exactly. Yeah. It's about acknowledging the process, not just the outcome. And it's about fostering a sense of intrinsic motivation rather than relying on external rewards or praise.
This feels like such a valuable tool for parents, teachers, even managers. It's about helping others to develop a sense of self-efficacy and to find joy in the process of learning and growing.
And it ties into a larger concept that's crucial in Adlerian psychology, the idea of community feeling.
Okay, I'm curious about this. It's not just about belonging to a specific group.
Right.
No.
It's much broader than that. It's about feeling connected to something larger than ourselves, recognizing that we are all part of a greater whole.
The book uses that fascinating example of the shut-in individual. Even though they might be physically isolated, they're still participating in the community through everyday actions like buying bread.
Right. That simple act connects them to a vast network of farmers, bakers, delivery drivers, and countless others. It's a reminder that we are all interconnected even when we feel alone.
Yeah, it makes you realize that even the smallest actions can have a ripple effect, contributing to the well-being of the community as a whole. This is starting to make me think about my own sense of belonging and purpose. What are the things that make me feel connected? How can I contribute more meaningfully to the world around me?
It's a journey worth exploring, and it leads us to another important concept in Adlerian psychology, self-acceptance.
Okay, we hear a lot about self-love and self-esteem these days.
Yeah.
How is self-acceptance different?
Well, self-acceptance is about acknowledging our imperfections without judgment, as opposed to self-affirmation, which might involve denying our limitations or trying to convince ourselves that we're something we're not.
So it's not about pretending we're perfect. It's about being honest with ourselves about our strengths and our weaknesses.
Exactly. Like, let's say you get a 60% on a test. Self-affirmation might lead you to make excuses or to downplay the importance of the test. Self-acceptance, on the other hand, encourages you to acknowledge the result, identify areas for improvement, and take realistic steps to do better next time.
It's about being kind to ourselves without sugarcoating reality. It's about recognizing that we are all works in progress, and that's okay. This feels like a much healthier and more sustainable approach than constantly trying to pump ourselves up with affirmations that might not be true.
And it ties into a larger concept that's really important for understanding personal freedom in the Adlerian sense, the difference between a kinetic view of life and an energial one.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Break this down for me.
Okay. Think of life as a straight line moving towards a distant goal. That's the kinetic view. It's all about reaching the destination, and the journey is just a means to an end.
So it's like saying, I'll be happy when I get that promotion, or my life will be complete when I find my soulmate.
Exactly. The energial view, on the other hand, is about seeing life as a series of moments, each complete in itself. It's not about reaching some distant goal, but about savoring the experience of living, regardless of the outcome.
So using the mountain climbing metaphor from the book, the kinetic approach would be all about getting to the summit no matter what. The energial approach would be about enjoying the climb itself,
Yeah.
the fresh air, the breathtaking views, the camaraderie with your fellow climbers. Even if you don't reach the summit, the journey itself is valuable and fulfilling.
Precisely.
Yeah,
It's about embracing the present moment rather than getting bogged down in anxieties about the future or regrets about the past.
it's about dancing those moments, as the
Mhm.
book suggests. It's about being fully present in our lives, engaging with the world around us, and finding joy in the simple act of living.
Exactly. And this ties back to the idea of personal freedom. When we let go of that need to control everything and embrace the present moment, we experience a profound sense of liberation. We're no longer slaves to our anxieties about the future or our regrets about the past.
It's about trusting that we have the resilience and resourcefulness to navigate whatever challenges come our way. And it's about recognizing that true happiness and fulfillment are not destinations.
Hmm.
They're a way of being.
And that way of being is available to us right now. It starts with making a conscious choice to embrace the present moment, to cultivate self-acceptance, and to live in accordance with our values.
It's about having the courage to be happy, even if it means being disliked by some people.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that true freedom comes from within. It's not about external circumstances or achieving some arbitrary definition of success. It's about aligning our actions with our values, embracing our authentic selves, and living in the present moment.
And this brings us back to one of your initial interests, separation of tasks.
Which, as we've seen, is really all about taking responsibility for our own thoughts, feelings, and actions and allowing others to do the same.
It's about setting healthy boundaries and focusing on our own journey, rather than getting entangled in other people's dramas or trying to fix their problems.
Right. It's about recognizing that we can't control other people, but we can control our own responses to them.
And this brings us to one of the most insightful concepts we've discussed today, the idea that all problems are interpersonal relationship problems. But the flip side of that coin is that all solutions are also found within those same relationships.
Exactly. So go forth and connect. Embrace your courage, be your authentic self, and dance those moments with joy and intention. We'll be back next week with another deep dive into a topic you're curious about. But until then, keep those questions coming.
Yeah, it feels like we've been given this incredible toolkit, you know, to build a more fulfilling life, one that's grounded in self-awareness, compassion, and a deep understanding of our interconnectedness with others.
And the beauty of it is that these tools are accessible to everyone. You don't need any special training or qualifications to start applying these principles in your life.
It's about making small conscious choices each day to align your actions with your values, to cultivate that self-acceptance, and to embrace the present moment.
And it's about remembering that this is a journey, not a destination. There will be times when you stumble or fall back into those old patterns, but that's okay. The key is to be kind to yourself, to learn from your mistakes, and to keep moving forward.
It's like that saying, progress, not perfection. This all ties back to one of the things that initially sparked your interest in Adlerian psychology, the concept of confidence versus trust.
Ah, yes. This distinction is so crucial for building those healthy, fulfilling relationships. Remember, trust is conditional. It's based on proof or security.
Like if you're constantly checking your partner's phone or demanding to know their whereabouts,
Yeah?
that's coming from a place of distrust. And ironically, that distrust can actually create a self-fulfilling prophecy and push your partner away.
Exactly. Confidence, on the other hand, is unconditional belief in others, even without guarantees. It's about trusting in their good intentions and believing in their capacity for growth and change.
So it's about choosing to believe the best in others, even when they make mistakes or disappoint us.
And this doesn't mean we become doormats or allow others to walk all over us. It's about setting healthy boundaries while maintaining that belief in their inherent goodness.
It's like that saying, people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. If we approach our relationships with confidence and compassion, it creates that ripple effect, fostering a sense of safety and trust that allows everyone to flourish.
And that ultimately is what Adlerian psychology is all about. Creating a more just compassionate and fulfilling world for ourselves and for generations to come.
Wow, this has been such an eye-opening exploration. I feel like I've gained so many valuable insights into human behavior relationships and the true meaning of personal freedom.
And as you continue to explore these ideas and apply them to your own life, we encourage you to remember one of Adler's most powerful quotes. The chief danger in life is that you may take too many precautions.
So don't be afraid to take risks, to step outside of your comfort zone, and to embrace the unknown. The courage to be happy is within you.
And remember, you are not alone on this journey. The community feeling is always there waiting for you to tap into it.
So keep those questions coming, keep exploring, keep growing, and we'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.